our webinars last year. And we've also got a graduation pathways presentation. We wanted to talk a little bit about that. Got PSAT tomorrow, so it's a great time. And we have the PSAT man himself, Mr. Matthew, who is the center of that world. If there were ever a counselor to talk to you about that, he is the man to do that. So he's going to talk with us a little bit about that. And then we've also got, of course, Dr. Mark Simon here. And he's going to talk with us a couple times, perhaps, particularly about emotionally supporting our students. And then, of course, we've got Ms. Vincent here. So again, as a reminder of who we are, my name is Mr. Lineweaver, Greg Lineweaver. I'm the assistant principal in charge of the 11th grade. I do a number of other things at the school, but that is why I'm here this evening. Got Ms. Paige Vincent. She's our Dean of Students for the 11th grade. Dr. Mark Simon, who was our social emotional learning coach for this year. He joined us this year, and we're very excited about that. And so he's joining us this evening. And Mr. Reagan Matthew, who's a counselor for letters A through GER. You're going to hear all this again in just a minute through the video, but in their own voices. And then I don't know if Mr. Flukas is going to be able to join us this evening or not. He was supposed to be part of the presentation, but it's possible that something happened on his technology end. I sure understand what that looks like. And he's one of our student support specialists, and we have 2 of those at the school. As a reminder, if you have to leave the presentation for any reason, we are recording it. We're going to punch that out there. And of course, you are welcome to put questions or comments in the chat. We would love to be able to respond to those either throughout the course of the presentation or when we're all over. So we always record that, and then we try to get responses out to families. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the slide that I gave you a preview of just a minute ago. And I have a little bit of trouble with advancing slides. There we go. And we're going to hear again from everybody. And there he is, Mr. Matthew, but here we go.
Hi, my name is Mr. Lineweaver, and I'm the assistant principal for the 11th grade. And I am Panther proud because of the amazing group of educators I get to work with every single day up here who do nothing except work to support our 11th graders and help make sure that they are doing the best that they can do.
My name is Paige Vincent. I am the Dean of Students for the class of 2023. I am Panther proud because I think we could certainly say this class has had an anything but ordinary high school experience. And this year, as upperclassmen, they really shown us all that they've learned so far and have become great members of our Panther community.
Hi, I'm Reagan Matthew. I'm one of the counselors for the class of 2023 team. I work with last names A through GER. I am Panther proud because of all the families that I've been able to work with over the last 14 years, as well as all the staff that I've worked with over the last 14 years here at North Central.
Hello, my name is Mr. Newsom. I am a school counselor here at the North Central High School. I have letters GES through PAT for the class of 2023. I am Panther proud because I've had a great opportunity to work with some fabulous staff members over my long tenure here in Washington Township. And I've had the opportunity to see some great students pass through North Central and have a caseload of great students that are here. So that's why I'm Panther proud.
Hello, I'm Christy Meinert. I'm a school counselor for a class of 2023, students with last names starting with PAU through Z. And I am Panther proud to be a North Central graduate, the parent of 4 North Central graduates, and in my 18th year as a school counselor at North Central.
Hi, my name is Sarah Greddy, and I'm the secretary to the class of 2023. I am Panther proud because I graduated from here and they set me up for success.
Hola, mi nombre es Juana Hernández, soy dominicana, trabajo en Washington Township desde hace un año. Comencé en Spring Middle School como asistente de instrucción y ahora estoy en la oficina de asistencia en North Central High School, desempeñando la función de asistente de los 11º grado. Mi propósito es desempeñar un buen trabajo ayudando a todos nuestros estudiantes y sobre todo a la comunidad hispana de nuestra escuela. Para mí es un placer poder servirles y estoy a su orden para todo lo que necesiten. Gracias.
Hi, I am Jeanette Johnson. I am a school social worker at North Central, and I am Panther proud because we are resilient.
Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Mark Simon. I'm the social emotional learning coach here at North Central. And I'm Panther proud because I've watched these students push through and really rise and show a lot of resiliency through all of these unprecedented times. So thank you, everybody. I'm Panther proud because of that.
Evening to you. My name is Sherman Flukas. I am the behavioral specialist, also known as the student supports here at North Central High School. I am proud and honored to be able to be speaking with you this evening. I just want to let you know that I am very Panther proud. Reason why, 20 years ago, I walked through these halls and I had great people like Coach Logan, like Mr. Brannigan, and other type of affiliates that actually just helped lift me up, which is still a great pride and great honor to be able to wear the colors of red, black, and white. So I hope that as you send your child and trust your child with North Central High School, that you will learn to instill those same values, and you actually allow for them to be able to have a great code of honor with strength and honor in North Central.
All right, that's awesome. And I want to thank Ms. Vincent for putting that together and for us and for the team. And while we were watching that, we had Mr. Flukas show up. Now, Mr. Flukas's link says Mark Simon, but we just saw him there a minute ago. So we're going to not worry about the fact that it was clearly sent out by Mr. Simon. So that's all right. So we're good. But Mr. Flukas, if you want to say hi to everybody as in person, that'd be cool.
Absolutely. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm Sherman Flukas. I am a 2000 graduate of North Central High School. I'm also the student support specialist. I'm here to be able to be support in any way that your child needs to be able to get through this next year and a half of education. So please feel free to contact me if you need me. I'm glad to help.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, and we're glad that you're here. So I'm going to go ahead and move it on, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Matthew, who's going to talk a little bit about Naviance and how we get on that and why it's important and all those good things. And if we have, and I don't know, Mr. Matthew, if you've got the ability to be able to share your screen at some point, but if you can't do that, we'll figure out a way to make that happen. So go ahead, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Lineweaver. So Naviance is our, for lack of a better term, our portal or our platform for college and career information. I apologize, I have a 5-year-old who wants to make an appearance. Say hi. Okay, you've had your moment in the sun, so why don't you go over there? So it's our college and career platform or portal. It's a way for students to do research on colleges and careers. We've been meeting with all of our students one-on-one to go over this. And then also we're going to use it extensively next year through the college application process. So we've really wanted to get students acquainted with it this year so they're familiar with it and comfortable with it. So in order to actually log on and look at Naviance, we've been showing students this, but we haven't been able to meet with everyone. So this is maybe a great way to get everyone to find out how to do it. And I think we're going to speak through it, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Lineweaver to maybe share a screen off of the North Central webpage. So in order to log on to Naviance, you would first go to the North Central High School webpage. Then you would go to the Students and Families tab, click on Counseling tab. You have to scroll down. It's on the bottom third of the screen. It's always the part of the screen that is not actually there. So you have to scroll down to look at it. Click on the Student tab. And then students can enter in their username, which is their North Central student ID number. And then they can click forgot password if they haven't set one up yet this year. And they'll receive a temporary one through their non-North Central email account. If for whatever reason they only have a North Central email account, we can work with students in setting up one through Google, through Yahoo, through whatever it is that you may prefer, any free email account. The reason why we don't want you to use your North Central email account is because students don't receive actual emails through that email account. It's just a way to share information and share documents through the shared drive. And also we want students to be able to access this after high school. So Mr. Lineweaver, if you could maybe bring up the North Central website and then we could share it. Or not. We can go on to graduation pathways if you want.
Yeah, so I do not see an ability to do that easily. So, and I would be nervous about doing that and then losing our entire presentation. So I am a little hesitant to want to do that at this moment. So perhaps if we kind of get to a place later on, and if I'm able to figure out how I can allow somebody else to share screen, we can maybe try that a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead and push it forward to the next slide, and we're just going to keep rolling.
Sounds good. So we want to talk about graduation pathways. We are going to talk about it a lot, constantly over the next year and a half, because this is the requirement for the class of 2023 to graduate. It replaced the I-STEP requirement. And it's a statewide. This is something, not a North Central thing. This is statewide by the state of Indiana. There are three main parts to the graduation pathways. We call them three main boxes that students have to check off. So the first part is pretty self-explanatory. You need the credits for a diploma. So you need to take the classes and earn the credits you need in order to graduate. The second part talks about some of the different learning experiences, and that we've tried to help students out with those learning experiences over the last few years. So students would need to have some form of project-based learning, service-based learning, or work-based learning. So any kind of project they've done at school, especially the Panther Exploration Project, or what we used to call the Personal Project last year, meets that experience for students. Service-based learning would be a lot of this classes, or excuse me, that 5-year-old is sneaking around me again. A lot of the things that students do outside of school, such as Eagle Scouts, working with their church, their temple, their synagogue, any kind of voluntary experience. And some of our classes are service-oriented, such as AVID, JAG, JR, OTC, and then work-based experience. Students having a job and maintaining the same employment for at least 3 months could count towards that graduation requirement. The last one, the third box, is probably the most difficult to plan for and also to achieve. This is the post-secondary ready competency. So in addition to taking the classes that you need to do one of these things that are listed below. So if you earn an honors diploma, whether technical or academic, that would qualify. Earn a qualifying test score on the ACT, the SAT, or the ASVAB, which is the military test. Doesn't commit you to the military, but a score of 31 means that you would be able to go to the military if you want. And so that would be a post-secondary ready competency. Specific state certification and credentials, a lot of times that might be through JEL apprenticeships, through such as our MAP program or some other programs through JEL. Career Technical Education Concentrator, and we are actually changing that. So 1 year of a 3-hour JEL class next year would meet that requirement. Taking at least 3 AP, IB, or dual credit courses and earning an average of C in those classes. And then locally created pathways. We haven't created one, but there are a few throughout the state that if students follow certain steps, take certain classes, that would count towards graduation. So it's no longer just taking the classes that you need to graduate. You have to do these extra additional steps. So as we are meeting with students this year, as we are meeting with our current juniors, we're talking about what their plan is, if they've met those post-secondary ready competencies or all the graduation pathways. And if they haven't, how we plan for next year, possibly taking JEL classes, possibly looking at other programs as well.
Okay, so I'm going to pause just for a second. And if anybody has questions about graduation pathways or Naviance, don't forget you can be putting those in the chat. And I know that Ms. Vincent or one of the other members of the team will be able to take a look at those. These are, of course, as Mr. Matthews said, these changes for graduation kind of went into place within the last couple of years, and it tends to create a little bit of confusion for students as they kind of get to the end of the road here in terms of making sure they have all the pieces in place. One of the frequent confusions is that you have to do the Panther Exploration Project in order to graduate. That is not true. It is just one of the ways that you can satisfy the employability skills component. So you can do it again through which is great because for schools that don't have the Panther, an equivalent project, those kids still have to graduate. And so they have to come up with an experience in an alternative way. But for us in North Central, having that built-in experience in the sophomore year kind of checks a box and for kids. And we had that in place long before these graduation pathways were a requirement. So just kind of really fit nicely. But I will tell you, it's one of the reasons that even as the district has moved away from the IB, MYP and PYP programming, while the diploma still remains, but the sort of the universal approach to IB, we kept the personal project component for this reason, right? And so it's been particularly powerful, and it gives our students an edge when it comes to that spot. Ms. Vincent, are there questions in the chat or anything we need to be looking at?
Yes, maybe Mr. Matthew can help explain. Is there information on Naviance and what it does for the student?
Yes, we have some videos that I believe have been linked to the North Central YouTube channel. And I believe also our college and career counselor, Ms. Salazar, has some more information on that. I think when I'm speaking with students, I kind of go more one-on-one on what they're interested in as far as colleges and careers and how Naviance can help out with that as well.
And Mr. Matthew, just to clarify, for Naviance, it is the only way that parents or that teachers can upload letters of recommendation and things like that, correct? So it used to be that you went through the Common App, and I can't remember if you said this already, but this is the pathway, as far as I know, because it certainly was a couple years ago when I was teaching, through which students completed their common application stuff, and then that was also where all the letters of recommendation were sent and things like that. So is that still correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So it's one of those things that all students really need to be fluent in, and it certainly have an account for, because it's what's going to be necessary in order to pursue those college applications and make sure that that all gets done, right and on time. So, okay. Are there more questions, Ms. Vincent, that have shown up that we need to wrestle with?
I think we can move on for now.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to, and again, it's kind of the Mr. Matthews show right now, because he's gonna not talk to us about the PSAT and the SAT. And like we said before, this is the guy that we would need to talk to if we were gonna talk to somebody about the PSAT and the SAT. So I'm gonna turn it back over to you again.
Thank you. Everybody loves talking about standardized testing, so I'm glad I get to do that tonight. So PSAT is tomorrow. PSAT is tomorrow morning. We did our pre-administration today in homeroom. Students should be aware of that. So tomorrow we'll start off the day with PSAT starting at 7:20 in students' homerooms. That will last till approximately 10:45. And then we'll go to a 2-hour delay schedule starting with fourth period at 11. So that's the PSAT, that's tomorrow. Students should get their scores mid-December. And so they can use the scores from the PSAT to help them with SAT and ACT, which we usually tell students to take in the spring. Some students might take it a little bit sooner than in the spring, but we also, another new thing for this class, they all get to take the SAT in the spring in March during the school day, paid for by the state, automatically registered for students. And so students will come in the first week of March on one of the days, I don't think we've set the date just yet, and take the SAT. So the PSAT is really the practice test. It's the preliminary test. It can help students out as far as seeing where they're at for the SAT. There's also some scholarship components to it. And even for students, and I know I've spoken with Mr. Flukas about this, students who might not consider themselves going to college, or that's not their plan for now, PSAT has some value, SAT has some value. Some of our Career Center courses, in order to earn dual credits through Vincennes or Ivy Tech, you have to have a qualifying score for the SAT or PSAT. We are also looking at the SAT. The state has made the SAT the school assessment for this class. And so that's something that, based off of how students do, that's how the school is judged and how the school determines their grade. Again, also SAT can help out students with going to college. I would say, as far as what a good score is, just looking at the bullet points here, students should look at their PSAT scores once they get it. They can see their percentile, how they are compared to other students in the state. And then using that, they can help prepare for the SAT. PSAT and College Board has a partnership for free with Khan Academy, where they can develop a personalized study guide, study plan for students based off of their PSAT scores to help elevate their SAT scores by the spring. So I think what is a good score? That's a difficult question. I think it's individualized by each student, but I think taking the PSAT to get that preliminary score, that baseline, and seeing where they can grow from there and what areas they need a little bit more emphasis on, or what areas they're doing really well on, can help out. I think final reminders for tomorrow, again, the PSAT is tomorrow. Will be in students' homeroom unless they've been otherwise notified. I would recommend that all the students taking the PSAT who are in grade 10 or 11 bring some number 2 pencils, a calculator. You'll need those for testing purposes. And then just be prepared for the test tomorrow as well.
Mr. Matthew, can you pause to answer some questions?
Of course.
So the SAT that the kids are going to take in school, that's the same one that they would take if they were coming in on a Saturday to take the test, correct?
It would count for everything. It would count towards college admissions, counts towards all that. The one difference is it would be a digital test. So the one that students are taking in March in the school day will be a digital test where students have to use their Chromebook, their school issued device, in order to take that test.
Okay, and then
And
please.
it still counts the same by universities. I just saw this one question, sorry.
Please explain what you mean when you say how the school can use the SAT to determine their grade.
School grades are based off of standardized tests in part. So ISTEP previously was that, or excuse me, iLearn and ISTEP have all been part of that. And so now the the SAT is taking over for that assessment, which determines school grade, whether North Central is an A school, B school, or whatever.
And then
Yeah,
finally,
I'm sorry, just to clarify, by grade, yeah, those contribute to the overall letter grade that's assigned to a school, but more and significantly, it's going to contribute, it's a determinant, it will become determinant for whether students have met the academic requirements in mathematics and language arts to graduate, right? And so what we don't know at this time is what the threshold, I don't believe we know what the threshold scores are yet that are going to be necessary, but this is a learning year for us. It's the first year when our students are going to be taking this assessment as a graduation qualifying exam as we shifted off of the ISTEP. And so yeah, we're all kind of in a learning spot on that, and we're going to be trying to figure out, but I would say that's why the PSAT becomes so incredibly important for us as a school, and why students need to take it seriously, because it is what we believe going to be the closest and best indicator of how students might perform on the SAT. And what's particularly concerning for us as educators is that when students, the previous graduation qualifying exam, the ISTEP, was taking place in the sophomore year. So that gave students extra opportunities to pass. Because this is a junior year test, there are fewer opportunities to meet the threshold scores. Now, you can look at that two ways. We have another year to prepare, so more students should get through, but it also could mean that it gets a little dicier for students who might not do so well the first time. They have fewer opportunities. So it's just, they're all factors that we're sort of working with as a school and as within the curriculum. And so just things to consider as well. So are there other questions, Ms. Mintz? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I guess last one we can answer right now, is there, I think you just kind of answered, is there a minimum score to meet the state requirement?
As far as the state requirement for the SAT, so students can use the SAT score for their graduation pathway for that third box if they wanted to. There is a minimum score for that. I don't have it off the top of my head at this moment, but that's one of a variety of ways that students can meet the third part of the graduation pathway requirement.
So in that, it's kind of interesting. It could actually fill 2 boxes. Is that right, Mr. Matthew? 2 pathways, because you have to take it as a graduation. It don't have to be the. Is that right? Am I wrong about that?
It can meet the third box. I'm not sure what you mean by filling 2 pathways.
Maybe. Well, yeah. I guess maybe not. I have to think more about that. But yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you again, Mr. Matthew. We know that tomorrow is a crazy day for you. You've been working like a crazy man trying to get everything pulled together. So we wish you best of luck tomorrow as you pull off one of the largest undertakings we take place every year, try to get everybody through that PSAT. So thank you for all the work that you do. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. I realize there's more things in the chat, and I'll take a look at that a little bit later. We have to address those later. We want to be mindful of time and be aware that we've got a couple of other things to talk about. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Simon and Mr. Flukas.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time to introduce myself. It's actually fascinating to be in Indianapolis by way of Clearwater in the last 6 months, Clearwater, Florida, that is. So I just appreciate the opportunity to help teach and learn from everybody here at North Central, including your students as well. But what I want to just quickly talk about is our holistic understanding and supporting of our students here at North Central. And when I say holistic, I mean all encompassing, not just focusing on one specific area, which it would be normally just academics, where we really as a school would focus purely just to make sure that they get to college or into the career that they want. But as a holistic understanding, what we mean is we do support the academics. You've heard of everything that's been explained here tonight by Mr. Matthew and everybody else. But in addition to that, we have teacher support hours on Wednesdays. Some teachers actually, if you talk to them, they have different hours that are in addition to that. We have a learning center to help students, and the supports in that learning center are tremendous. There are some PhD students and actually some actually already earned their degrees that are in there helping students with any type of classwork that they may need. And then a tutoring mentor program that's actually just beginning as well, and you'll hear more about that. But in addition to the academic side of things, when we say holistic, we also mean the social and the emotional side of things. When we say the social, we talk about self-awareness and social awareness, responsible decision-making, self-management, relationship skills. All of these are essential skills needed in the professional world. And I think if we see anything on news and media today, we understand why and how the value of that is so much more today. But in addition to the social side of things, the emotional side of things, we have school counselors, social work team, student voice panels that we're putting into place to actually support the student in their emotional needs during stressful times, especially as some of them, as we move into their senior year next year, they're going to be experiencing a lot more stress as they look for those different pathways into their life. And so we want to holistically not just help them on academic, but social and the emotional side. And then in addition to that holistic understanding, we talk about the parent and guardian supports. And as a district and North Central, we offer a number of different avenues to gain those supports. And I'm hoping that I can share my screen. But if I do that, it'll take you away, Mr. Lineweaver. But each of these right here, and I'll put them in the chat, the links. Each of these links here offer different supports, different pathways to receiving support as parents and guardians. One of the things that I'll put in the actual chat right now is a webinar series that is going on right now through the month of November that talks about different areas such as understanding special education and parents' procedural safeguards, supporting LGBTQ students in schools, and in November you have implicit bias training presented by the Peace Learning Center and supporting of high ability needs in and out of the classroom. All of these are being presented and for parents to gain all of the information and knowledge that they can. In addition to that, a wonderful wonderful tool that was put together for parents and students is the Panther Pause, P-A-U-S-E, not P-A-W-S, Panther Pause site. This particular site, you have a numerous amount of different links that are specifically for students, parents, staff, the community, anywhere from mindfulness, understanding how you can use breathing techniques to calm yourself and calm others around you, but also links specifically for the parents for different things like the PTO meetings, grade level support teams, even my SEL and CR Hub is on there. But then the community link on there also gives you a broad range of supports that can actually take place, anywhere from mental health resources to childcare, to legal assistance, to food, to employment assistance, and so on. And that is a wonderful resource for all parents and students and staff to use. So when we say holistic, we mean every single area, and that's really what I wanted to highlight tonight. So I appreciate the opportunity to expand on that a little bit more. Mr. Flukas is going to talk a little bit more about that holistic game.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So yeah, so we all know that we are coming towards the end of the second 9 weeks, and we know the testing and holiday season is coming around. And I asked Mr. Lineweaver to have the opportunity to kind of insert this opportunity to speak with you about emotional intelligence. And I think this is a term that I use a lot with the students around the building, from freshmen all the way through seniors. And a lot of them are not even really in tune with emotional intelligence. A lot of them know what IQ is, but a lot of them don't really understand what EQ is. And the reason why I think this is very important right now is because there's a lot of stress factors that happen in the school building as well as outside of the school building that plays a huge factor into a student actually being able to perform at a high level. And I think that as a guardian, as a parent, and if any students are actually on this phone call, I think that it's very important that you actually are aware of what's going on inside of you. So let's talk about briefly what exactly is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence, by definition, is the ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle your emotions. When I was actually studying physics back in the day, my professor gave it to me in a very easy way. Emotion is basically a compound word. It's energy in motion. It's basically a way for you to be able to assess your energy and notice that when you're happy, it's energy. When you're sad, it's energy. When you're up, it's energy. And people feed off that energy. And whether or not we want to be able to admit it, these kids in this building are actually aware of the energy in which they actually are around, and it plays a huge factor. So as parents, I think that it's very important that you really are very positive over these next couple 8 weeks and 9 weeks course to give them as much emotional intelligence as possible. And why is that important? Because as stated, there are stressors that are outside the walls. And I think that if we are more conscious about making sure that we create a more positive environment for these kids, and we tell them to make sure that they go to bed on time, we make sure that we have those tough conversations, and that leads into some of the 4 ways that we can actually be able to practice this emotional intelligence. And 4 ways that we can actually do it is to help ease and to help the coping during the testing and holidays. One thing you can actually do is to become more of an active listener. Just don't ask the simple question of, well, how was your school day? I mean, that's a good start, and most kids are going to say it was good. Ask them, what did you learn today? Did your teacher do anything different today? Do you ask them what type of style of teaching do they like? Did they learn from their homework? Things of that sort of nature. Keep them involved emotionally into their academics. I am a father of 4, and I have a son that's a sophomore. And one thing that I've always told my kids is to make sure that education is fun. I don't want for it to be education to be something that is very redundant and it has that monotony to it, and you get bored with it. Keep them engaged. Talk to them and keep it activity. Be an active listener and become socially engaged with your child, as I already stated. Make sure you ask them about their friends. Make sure you ask them if their friends need to be able to come over, or if you want to go somewhere else, or you want to go over to their house. The one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to create this atmosphere of being a hermit. And the hermit is basically means it's a person that's sitting in the house all the time. Over the holidays, get a chance to go out, go during the holiday season. If once we get back off of Thanksgiving break, My family, what we love to do is we love to just get into the vehicle and just drive around the different neighborhoods and look at the lights to kind of just ease the moment, to kind of get their minds off of what's going on with testing and things of that sort of nature, just a way for them to be able to kind of just decompress. And the one thing that I want to make sure of is that when you're talking to your kids and as parents, that you want to make sure that you are reiterating to your kids to help them remove the distractions. One thing that I've kind of adopted over this last week, honestly, when I was listening to if you will, a pastor that I listened to, you're probably familiar with, is Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen came out and he actually articulated that we need to learn how to stay away from the oh no people and learn how to surround ourselves with the amen people, which are people that are actually in agreement. So you want to kind of just tell your kids to find people that are actually in agreement with them actually wanting to succeed in education. You want to surround yourself with people who are in agreement about the vision, about the goals of what you want to do academically, in the classroom, outside of the classroom, because it helps to be able to kind of galvanize, to excite that emotion of just kind of getting their minds of the lack, because a lot of people are lacking during this holiday season. And like I said, that creates a lot of stress. So we want to kind of just also, for the fourth point, as a means to kind of help with these, with actually getting through, is have selfless service. There are plenty of places that you can actually be able to go out and volunteer during the holiday season to kind of help to eliminate that stress. One thing that I've always noticed is that when you actually take yourself out of the equation and it becomes about somebody else, then it's easy for you to be able to deal with what you're going with personally. So over the next course of the next 8 weeks, try to find as many activities as possible outside of the school to help them to kind of just decompress and to really just start planting that seed that selfless service is also a means for you to be able to have great mental health. And moving forward, if you ever have any questions or concerns, please feel free to come to me. Like I said, my name is not Mark Simon. My name is Sherman Flukas. So when you call, ask for the Bob brother that's at North Central High School. But nonetheless, though, I definitely appreciate the opportunity to help. And if there's anything in the future that you need, please feel free to come and ask me, email me, and I'd be more than happy to assist you in this matter.
Thank you so much, Mr. Flukas and Dr. Simon. I believe Dr. Simon, I have repeatedly referred to you as Mr. Simon this evening, when in fact that is not fair to you, who recently achieved his PhD. So congratulations on that. So very congratulations on that. But thank you, Mr. Flukas. I so appreciate your words and your thoughts and your contributions this evening. Is great. And so we're going to go ahead and work to, and also as to Dr. Simon's the links and sharing those things, we're going to go ahead, and when I push out the video for this, I will also send all of those links out and make sure that everybody's got those. So we'll make sure that everybody has access to those. So, all right, let's go ahead and finish it up here. So Ms. Vincent, you want to wrap it up?
Yes, here's our optimistic closure. I don't know if it's actually optimistic. We are now closer to graduation for this class than we are to when they started as freshmen. So that's kind of crazy to think about. So we are quickly moving towards the end. And so we're kind of new now. We're upperclassmen, a new team. So in the chat, as you would, what do you want to hear about next time? What topics that did we not cover today that you're interested in hearing about? Is there things related to academics? Is there things related to junior season, like prom and things like that? So in the chat, our optimistic closing, what do you want us to talk about in future presentations? What are you dying to know about North Central? And that is our closure for tonight, Mr. Lineweaver.
All right. And as you think about those things, if nothing's coming to mind right now, that is totally fine. When I send out the link, you can always respond back to me directly. It comes right to me through Parent Square. You can also email us and you can say, hey, that was good, but we would really like to hear about this, that, or something else. And there are some unanswered questions that we didn't get to in the chat. We're welcome to follow up on those. I think one of the questions that came up a minute ago was how do we operationalize some of the things that are that Mr. Flukas was talking about. And so that's a great question that I'm not equipped to be able to talk about that right now, but it's certainly something I would like to respond to. So we'll get a way to respond to that question. I see some things coming in on the chat now. Totally greatly appreciate your thoughts this evening. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We're running just about a minute late, but if we had started on time, I think we would be right on the nose, which is just the way we like to run it here on the 11th grade team. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up by saying thank you, of course, as always, for choosing to be here with us. Typically, I would post up when our next meeting is going to be, but at this moment, I don't actually know when that is. I will be sometime in November. We are going to go ahead and continue to run these monthly. So we'll do one in November. We'll probably do one in December, and then on. We'll see. Kind of depends on the framing in terms of how much time we have left as we get to those months. But anyway, so glad that you could be here with us this evening. Again, if you have any follow-up and you want to check in with us, you can email me at msdwt.k12.in.us. As always, you can also call, and you can also reach out to anybody else on on the call this evening. So want to thank you once again, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. And thank you to the panelists for giving up yet another evening of your lives to be here. You're a great help to us in making sure that we understand what's going on, but also supporting the team. So thank you all for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and end it at that. Thanks again, all. And we'll see you next month. Bye.